10 things I've learned the hard way. And the first one is don't delay mite treatments. You know, when I first started beekeeping, mites were gradually getting a foothold in the US, and it was hard to take them seriously in the beginning because, you know, maybe they weren't that bad, or maybe they weren't really going to get, you know, that bad. And anyway, it took me many years before I realized, oh boy, mites are bad, and they're bad for the bees. So I know some of you might be thinking, I don't like dealing with mites. It's a lot more work to, you know, do a mite test or to figure out how to treat mites and all. And I've got a neat video coming up. I don't know, I'll make it next week. I know I'm starting on it, but it's going to help you guys figure out what you're supposed to do based on all the special things that are going on in your hive at that moment. What you should do, what treatment you should use. I'll be sharing that next week. It'll be a nice way for you to finally stop guessing at when can I do this at this temperature? What if I, you know, have this many bees? It's going to kind of eliminate all that and make it really simple. So be watching for that video. But anyway, don't delay mite treatment, please. That's something I learned the hard way. I was astonished at when mites first hit, how my hives they were dead. It just killed them. It was just depressing. And it's still going on today. If you don't treat for mites, many of us think that, you know, mites treatment is just so essential. And if you don't do it, you're going to wind up with the viruses they push around is what's really going to hurt your hive. So don't delay in taking care of those mites. We're getting into spring now. Spring is a great time to get those mites under control. Second thing is that I've learned the hard way is don't believe everything you hear. Oh my goodness. I hate to have to say this, but it's, you know, it's true, right? Every day, I would say almost every day, I'm running down false information and rumors and misinformation about beekeeping. Beekeepers will ask me questions, especially people on my Bee Team 6 mentorship program. Thank you guys for being a part of that team. Bee Team 6, I help coach the people on Bee Team 6 mentorship program. And many of them will tell me they heard this, they heard that. Am I supposed to do this because somebody told me to do that? And some of it is way off. I mean, some of it is detrimental to the bees' survival. And maybe they heard it on a Facebook group. Maybe they heard it from another beekeeper. So please be careful. Don't believe everything you hear. There is a lot of misinformation. There is a bunch of information that is flat out wrong. Well, how do you know? It's going to depend on all of us getting wiser and having some critical thinking skills and investigating things ourselves, coming to our own conclusions, not just believing everything somebody might say wearing a bee suit. You know, just because somebody wears a bee suit and they smell like beekeeping smoke doesn't make them an authority. Okay. I mean, it doesn't take much to smell like beekeeping smoke and wear a dirty beekeeping suit. So be careful on that one. Another thing that I learned the hard way was I really need to requeen my bees more often than I thought I did. Early on, I got caught with trying to think that my queens could live longer and longer because, you know, you love your queen, you love how she's doing. And I was thinking, okay, her 4th year and see if she makes it another year. Or 5th year, okay, will she make it another year? Well, the queens, they wind up dying, and it seems like they always die in the wintertime, like December or January when you can't get a replacement. And then the hive just goes to pot after that. There's no queen in there in the wintertime. There's no queen to keep a little bit of brood going in the winter. You come out of winter, there's no way to get a queen because it's too cold and the hive dies. And so I made a commitment years ago when I started raising queens that I would just replace my queens once a year, every 2 years at the most. I will never go more than 2 years with the same queen. Can't trust her. I mean, you love her, you got to appreciate her, but there's a lot of benefits to replacing that queen yearly. It really is. They get through the winter better. They swarm less in the spring because of her queen mandibular pheromones. It's just so many good reasons. If you can afford it, or if you raise your own queens, replace your queen every year, you're going to see the benefits of that. I know that's going to be overwhelming for new beekeepers. Don't do it if it don't. I don't want to make you feel pressured. Like, don't feel like, oh my gosh, David said I got to replace my queen every year. No, don't do that. If you're not at that skill set level there yet, that's somewhere where you need to work on in the future. For now, you're trusting your queen to be fine 3 or 4 years, and maybe they'll replace her, supersede her in the summer, and you won't have to fool with that. But anyway, that's something to keep on your radar of your learning set. You need to learn to raise your own queens, or how to replace queens once a year. Another thing that I think is really important is that success always comes slowly. And I can't emphasize this enough. In many of the presentations that I give, I'll mention how some people that start beekeeping new feel like I need to know everything that a real experienced 20-year beekeeper knows. And they try to cram. It's like cramming for the test on Friday night before the test on Monday morning. You can't do that, So in beekeeping, you can't cram knowledge. You can't cram information into your brain. Information builds on information. So you have to start knowing a little bit, and you add to that. So to be a successful beekeeper is going to take you years. So calm down. You will gain a lot of information and some success this year. But remember, wherever there's success, there's always a little bit of failure. And so you have to fail to succeed. And you have to realize that. Hear me out. Listen closely now. In order to succeed and be a successful beekeeper, it's a slow, progressive process. You're going to have to spend 5 years before it really starts to click and make sense, and you feel like you have a handle on it. It really is 5 years. You will start to think, I know so much more than I used to, and things will start to make a lot more sense. So don't try to be a pro beekeeper in year 2. It's not going to happen. You haven't seen enough. Enough hasn't been presented. Your bees haven't had enough problems yet. I mean, some people are saying, no way, you don't know my bees. I had all the problems last year. Okay, well, maybe, but you need more years to try different solutions. So be patient. The fifth thing is, I learned the hard way that I need to decide on one size early. What I mean by that, as you can see in the picture, there's 3 different kind of hives here. And 3 different kind of hives. And there's a lot more, by the way. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate your super sticker tonight. But you can see I started with all the kind of different size boxes that I was using, and I was always frustrated because I had the wrong size. I couldn't transfer things over to that size of that box. So my recommendation, I learned the hard way. Please, if you can start early, decide what kind of size boxes and frames you're going to use and stick with that. Most of us stick with deep 9-inch frames in the deep bodies, and then 6.25 or 6-inch frames in the medium boxes. Now, a lot of beekeepers use all mediums, the 6-inch medium boxes. Even for their brood nests, you need 3 more down there instead of 2 deeps, but you need 3. So in other words, just decide, are you going to run all mediums? That's not a bad idea, people. All mediums is kind of cool. Everything is a 6-inch frame. Everything, deeps, mediums. I mean, your honey supers, your brood boxes are all mediums. Easier on your back. They weigh less. Bees are fine that way. You don't have to have, there's no rule that says you have to have deeps. In fact, a lot of the removals I have done in houses, a lot of the comb is built about 6 inches. It's kind of weird, Anyway, so think about that if you want to run all deeps, because you have a lot of muscles and the strongest back in the world, and you want to run all deeps even for your honey super. Well, let me warn you, your back might be great now, but it may not be after you pick up an 80-pound medium honey super. So be careful about that. They're heavy. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to encourage you guys to think about is I advocate starting with a traditional Langstroth. That's what we're seeing here. This is a Langstroth hive And they're called Langstroth because Reverend Langstroth came up with the idea of bee space. And the boxes were about built like this, right? They're 16.25 inch wide. They're 20, almost 19 7/8 inches in the front to back. And you can see the frames are all in there. If you take a look at the first one, by the way, the yellow, blue, green one, notice in the middle, that's a medium super. The one next to it has a medium super that's blue on top. And it kind of changes off like that. There are reasons where more experienced beekeepers may put a medium super in the middle like that. Sometimes I do it to get that to be drawn out a little faster, but you can't leave it in there long or the queen will lay in it, so forth. That's not what we're talking about. But this is a Langstroth. The reason I think you should start with this is because you want to learn about bees when you're first starting. Okay. You want to learn about handling bees, handling frames. This is a traditional, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but it's like a tricycle. This is beekeeping on training wheels, kind of. You're starting with something that's known, that's easy, that everybody understands. It's easy. If you start with a hive that is different, it's new, not many of your mentors have ever seen it before, you may not get a lot of information and help. You might think somebody may have convinced you to go that route, but it may be too complicated to really learn bees on because you can't figure the hive out. Start with something traditional. Then later on, you can work your way into a different type of hive. Number 7, don't buy answers through more equipment. Now, this is really important. It happens all the time. Every single conference that I go to, there's always new beekeepers there. And a lot of new beekeepers have a lot of money. Wow, a lot of money. And they sink literally thousands of dollars as a new beekeeper and haven't even started bees yet. They'll spend thousands of dollars on beekeeping equipment. The reason I don't advocate that is because you don't even know if you're going to like it. And I'll tell you, once you buy beekeeping equipment, you're not going to get your money back. Not much of it back if you try to sell all that stuff. So be careful. Wait 2 years, would you? Wait a couple of years. Don't buy extractors first. Borrow them. Borrow a friend's extractor. Don't buy an extractor the first year. I'd wait. To see if your bees make honey. I'd wait to see if you want to process honey. If you do it with a borrowed extractor, wait and see before you spend a lot of money. So don't just buy everything you can. Really, to start out, you just need a hive, a bee suit, gloves, a hive tool, smoker, and away you go. Okay. And then gradually grow into it and buy the things you see that are necessary. Okay. Similar to that is, I learned the hard way, but you need to wait and invest until your second year. Let me go back. Did I say that wrong? Don't buy more equipment. Similar to the two things, aren't they? Well, I guess 7 and 8 are about the same. My thoughts must have been going in different directions when I put this together. But yeah, if you can wait until your second year to really invest in your bees or more into your whole beekeeping operation, I think you're going to really, it'll pay off. And this is a time too that you need to spend time, you need to keep learning. So while you're waiting to invest that second year, you're learning. So you're taking all this in, you're learning about bees, you're learning to see if you really like bees or not. And number 9, waiting too long before adding supers. That's something I learned pretty quick too, is that I had a honey super on maybe in June, and that's the only one I had on there. And maybe I had a bunch of hives. I failed to realize hive number 73 only had one super on. And when I checked it 4 weeks later, it had been filled for 3 weeks. And if I had added more honey supers on, I could have had probably 3 more honey supers filled. And so that's when I learned that early on, the end of May or June for me in Illinois here, I need to have about all my honey supers on. I keep adding them once I see the bees are moving up into the one below it. I top super, by the way. That's just my preference. I use the bottom supers for honey or queen excluders, and I don't use queen excluders. So my honey super above my brood nest becomes my honey super. The queen won't go there. No place to lay. There's nectar in the cells. So I use that, and then I add top supers above that. So if you wait too long, you'll miss an opportunity to gather more honey into that hive. And then finally, number 10, one of the biggest things I made a mistake in doing early on was I failed to feed my bees when I should have. So now I have the philosophy of always feeding my bees, except when my honey supers are on and they're gathering nectar. Otherwise, for the most part, 90%, I'm feeding my bees. So that means I'm feeding them now in the spring. That's important to feed your bees in the spring. There's just not much out there in Illinois for them right now. It's warm. It looks good. Not much out there in the way of nectar. And so they can starve out right now, even though it's warm outside. Probably more often they starve out now because they're more active. So you got to feed them. I also feed them like after the dearth in the summer, like in the fall and going into winter. And then I feed them all winter long. So don't make the mistake of not feeding your bees, because if you do, the bees could die on you in those critical seasons. So that's 10 things I've had to learn the hard way right there. Man, that can be tough. I don't want you to have to learn those things the hard way. So there you go. 10 things I had to learn the hard way. Yeah. Great to see all you guys here tonight. Thanks for being here. We're going to go into a time of questions, I think, for a little bit here. I'm anxious to answer any questions you have tonight to help you guys out. It's spring. I know you have a lot of questions. By the way, before I jump into the questions, last week was really something. I had a teaching on swarm traps, and we went into swarm traps a lot. That was really good. You had a lot of questions, and I think you guys learned a lot about setting up swarm traps. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that live stream, remember, you can always watch the replay of the live streams. They're posted. You can always go back and watch them. Okay, we'll get started. Hey, Larry, if you leave resources in a swarm trap and it gets robbed, can the robbers also be scouts? I don't know what kind of question that you're asking. If you leave resources in a swarm trap, and it gets robbed before a swarm moves in, I guess. Okay. Can the robbers also be scouts? I'm not going to say they can't be, but I guarantee you the robbers have one intention. They're not looking for a home. They're looking for robbing. So I'm going to give that a no. They're not interested. They're just telling everybody where the gold is. Yeah, they're not looking to move. They're looking to build up their hive. Okay, Larry, how are you tonight? I'm planning to buy a package, Larry says. Choice of ship to me from a reputable breeder or driving 3 hours to pick them up, bring it back in my truck. What would you recommend? Larry, road trip time. Now, that's a long way to drive, Larry. Sherry and I, always feel like when people come and get packages here that they should not drive more than 2 hours. A lot goes on. People make the mistake. New beekeepers will often pick up a package. They don't realize how crucial it is that package stays cool and out of the sun. Sometimes people will stop at a restaurant on their 3-hour way home. They'll leave the bees, in the trunk or back seat in the sun, and it will just roast the bees and they'll die. The queen will die. So it's kind of critical. Can you find somebody closer to you? I know there's people closer to you that's a mile or an hour or two away, but yeah, if you have to, I would drive. I'd keep them in the truck with you, and I'd keep them cool. Hey, Ross, thanks for your donation. By the way, thank you all for donating to the live stream. It allows us to have special guests and have giveaways and pay the internet bill, which is outstandingly high for some reason. Ross, Wisconsin. Okay. I'm speaking in Wisconsin in February. I have one strong in 1 week that made it. Tomorrow is warm enough to move frames, but next week's weather is going to be cold. Would swapping hive positions when bees are flying help? Yes and no. I don't know how many foragers you have, Ross, that are really drilled down, or I don't think you've got a lot in Wisconsin. Bees are going to, right? And so I don't know if that's going to help. And, if your foragers were going in and out heavily gathering nectar, that would improve to switch locations to strengthen the weak one. Also, I don't like moving hives with cold weather coming in. They survived like this. I hate to change things. That's my opinion, but I don't know everything, and I don't advocate that my way is the only way. Test it out. But if they've survived this long, I would hold course. I don't think I would move anything. Yeah. All right. Great questions tonight. Hey, Paul. Thanks for your hard work. First year beekeeper, first spring. Great. Welcome to the hobby or to the, it's not really a hobby. Welcome to the wonderful world of beekeeping. Two hives have survived the winter. Oh, you're already into beekeeping, aren't you? Central Indiana, still sugar on board, lots of honey, 40 pounds. Do I need to feed? Insurance? That's a good question. Do you need, hey, your house is fine. Do you need homeowners insurance? Of course you do. Because even though they're good now, your house is fine now. It may not be later, right? Same with bees. Even though there's food on there now, who knows? Insurance. I'd put it on there. Insurance only. Yep. They don't need it. No loss. Hey, Corey, I know when I'm getting my new. I know when I'm getting my new queens. How soon can I remove my existing queen to help the new queen be accepted better or faster? I was thinking no more than 4 days. Okay, so the way that we like to do that, Corey, is we like to order the new queen, and when they arrive, when your new queen arrives, go out to your hive, take your old queen out, remove her, and wait 24 hours before you give them the new queen. And of course, when you give them the new queen, remember, you got to put the new queen in with the candy. Don't do a direct release. They need candy. Remove the plug so they can eat through the candy and get used to her. Hey, Rich, good to see you tonight. Thanks for your donation. I appreciate it. Yeah, good to see you, Rich. Hi, Tammy. Welcome to the live stream. I took out 6 queen cells last week and 4 more this week. Oh, swarm cells are awesome. They can make such wonderful queens. I added a medium super with 3 frames of honey and 5 empty frames to give them more space. I assume you're running 8 frame equipment. Will this keep them happy until the end of April when you want to split? Maybe. I will say this, though. If you haven't heard me speak of this before, here's what's happening. They want to reproduce. So space doesn't matter. Well, in the animal kingdom, reproduction will overcome all things. And so the bees will reproduce no matter how much. You could put 20 boxes of great stuff above them. If they want to reproduce, they're going to reproduce. So I'm going to say 20% chance that's going to help. They want to reproduce. Keep knocking those swarm cells out and using those somewhere. That'd be a big help too. Yeah. Those are good questions. Hey, Gary, I have 2 swarms traps set up. Well, great. Bees have been going in both of them for the last 2 days. What am I to expect? How many days do the scout bees go into the trap before moving in? They may never choose that. You don't know. So just because they're looking at it doesn't mean they like it. And just because they're looking at it doesn't mean they're going to go in there in the next 2 days or the next month. We have no way of knowing. Scout bees, they don't live a long time, though. Scout bees they're flyers, right? So they start flying on day 23, and they only live till they're 45 days old. So, they've only got 20 days left of flying. I don't know how to answer that question, but let's go from any day now to never. That's great. Keep watching it. That's good that you see bees looking at it. Yeah, they know it's there. Oh, and by the way, the scout bees, if they do decide to swarm, they might really let the rest of the hive know to go there because they've got that in their memory. Was sitting outside enjoying South Alabama spring and wondered how high off the ground do bees fly? Birds get pretty high, just curious. I'm sure there's data about that. I know swarms travel really high. I've kind of tracked swarms and they get so high up in the air I can't see them anymore. And I've watched bees fly out of my hive with binoculars. That's all beekeepers have, right? And they get pretty doggone high. I would say probably they don't waste energy. And so they're not going to go a mile high and then have to go back down, right? So they're only going to go high enough that would conserve energy getting over treetops, wind currents. They're going to stay, I would say, slightly above trees in the forest. My trees get to be about 60 to 80 feet. So I'm going, they're going to stay low to the ground, just as much as possible. Hey, Sandy, switching to the Burns feeder, feeding 1-to-1, but the nights are still chilly. Do you leave the insulation on top under the inner cover? Do you remove the insulation? Insulation. My feeders don't have insulation. If you use my feeder 1-to-1, the feeder with the 2 holes, I have one right here. This feeder, if you're using that one, what I do is if it's sitting in the hive and it's going to be cold, I'll put insulation, of course, the deep boxes here, I'll put insulation all around that top, if that's what you're asking. Any kind of insulation, bat insulation, like between walls, just to kind of keep a heat loss from coming up through there. Yep. Good to see so many of you here tonight. Wow. And Tony. Hi, David. How do you store clean drawn comb if you have 100+ frames? Drawn frames? Yeah. You need to keep it in a cool, dry place that doesn't have moisture or bugs in it. So you just need to find a place where it doesn't get too moist, because it can start getting moldy. You don't want it to be where ants and bugs can get in there and build nests and all that stuff. Yeah, 100 frames is about, 10 boxes. So you could easily store those in your bedroom. Put a piece of cardboard down, stack them up in your bedroom where you keep your temperature 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And that would be great unless you live with a significant other who stubs their toe on it at night, and then you might have to move them somewhere else. I had a queen emerge while I was doing an inspection. That's really fun to watch, isn't it? What should I have done with her? Could I have made a resource hive, and how do I start that? Well, it depends on, was it a supersedure? If they were replacing a dead queen or a dying queen or a failing queen, then you don't want to do anything. You just let her stay there and take over, right? But if that was a swarm cell, yeah, take her, put her in a queen cage. I always have queen cages in my bee suit with little caps on them. The J's bees plastic, I'll use caps in there. And that way, if I see a queen like you just saw, I've got a cage to put her in, pick her up by her wings and head first into the cage, put the cap on it, and there you go. You got a queen. Yeah. Hey, Rich again. Using green drone boards, okay to put 2 frames in both deep boxes, or is that limiting brood production too severely? Rich, probably would be okay, but you are being aggressive with that. Now, a lot of people run 8-frame boxes, so you're ahead of that game, really. I mean, you're still going to have 8 frames if you have a 10-frame box. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Sometimes the green drone comb, by the way, they are a way to help reduce mites in your hive. For those of you that are new, I've made a lot of videos on that. But if you can just use one and keep it in your top deep box, it's much easier to manage that way. You're getting about 7,000 cells for mites to jump into. Don't really need 2. Hey, James. Let me check my time here. I can get carried away. All my honey from last year crystallized. What's the best way to bring it back? Womp womp. So sorry, James. It's never going back. Now, we always say, I'm assuming, was it in bottles or in the frame? So anyway, let's say it's in the jar. We all say that you can heat that jar up unless it's in plastic jars, and then it's hard to heat. But double boiler pans on the stove, maybe don't overheat it, but heat it enough where it can start to melt some of those crystals. A different kind of honey will crystallize more, and that's how you know it's real honey. If you're just using it for yourself, I'd enjoy crystallized honey. That's all that's all really creamed honey is. It just, the crystals are very small. Yeah, that's a tough one. I've had it crystallized in big 5-gallon jugs before. That's depressing. Is excess moisture the cause of uncapped honey fermenting? It would be. Yeah, uncapped honey could draw moisture. That's right. Stan, thanks for your donation. Yeah, uncapped honey in the comb, if it's moist in the hive, and they can't dry it like in the wintertime, yeah, it can certainly ferment. I've seen that. I've observed that myself. Doing bee things. Being in southern Louisiana and you're up in northern Illinois, I believe, are your tips and advice aimed mainly to a northern atmosphere, or are they in general anywhere? They are in general anywhere. And this is why, that's a very good question, because when I say do this because you don't want your bees to do that, and then you just have to decide when to do it in where you live, right? Okay, so let's say, let me give some examples. Thanks, Angie, for your donation tonight. Let me give you some examples. So if I say, hey, you guys, you need to put up your swarm traps before your hive swarms. Well, that works for Georgia, Alabama, Canada. It works anywhere, right? I mean, you're the one that knows when swarms start to happen in your area. So the teachings just have, my sharing on YouTube just has to be adapted to your area by you knowing what I'm talking about, okay? Feed your bees in the spring, might be 2 weeks sooner for some, 2 weeks later for others. Yeah. Oh, a good homestead place there, Mothering Acres. Is there a way I can requeen so I don't squash her? Asking because I do insects pinning. Oh, so I guess you're wanting to take the old queen rather than kill her. You just want to pin her and save her in your insect collection. Yes. Do it the same way that you do that with other bees or other insects, right? What is it? An alcohol on a cotton swab? What am I trying to say? Cotton ball. You put a little bit of alcohol on a cotton ball and put them in a jar, and I think that kills them. But anyway, yeah, you can do that. Any way that you can isolate her so she has a quick death like that, and then you can pin her. Yeah. I used to do that too. I used to collect a lot. I had big insects collection when I was little. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's one of my personal things I might share one day. Do I have to move my swarm trapped bees more than 3 miles away? And how long do they have to stay before I move them back? Gary, the ideal situation is to watch those traps. And as soon as they land in there and you notice it within a day or two, you see it, you can move them and that'll be fine. If you leave them there longer and they get set up there for a month, absolutely. You're going to have to do the 3 mile away trick. Yep. Sorry to say. That's the tricky part about moving bees and catching swarms. Yeah, I know. We always want it to be different, but it's not. William, Mr. David, do you use 2-frame mating nooks? How successful? I don't believe I've ever used 2-frame mating nooks. My smallest has been 3-frame mating nooks. So yes, 3-frame mating nooks caused me problems because I built them only wide enough to hold 3-frame deeps, and they toppled over very easily because they were so narrow, right? And the wind would bunk. They didn't have a big footprint. So I was frustrated. So I went back to 5-frame mating nooks. That way they have a bigger footprint, and I put a block of brick or something, they don't fall over. 2 frames is scary. Yeah. You want to do that, you needed to get a queen castle or a queen mansion with the dividers and a deep box, and you can isolate them that way. Buzzing Bees Apiary. Hey, David, is it okay to feed sugar water with a honey super on to help draw a comb? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just remember that honey super might get sugar water in it, so you may not want to eat that. I would not sell it, and I wouldn't eat it either. But if you're going to leave that honey super on there for them, yeah, it'd be fine. See what I'm saying? Yeah, good question. Okay, take a few more questions. Then we're going to spin the wheel back here and got some giveaways coming up. Hey, Taylor, have you heard of a retirement nuke? During fall swarm season, you move older queen to a nuke to live out her days, and they supersede her and requeen your main hive. That is not anything new. That is a technique that beekeepers have used for decades upon decades, if not a century or more. I think it's been renamed. I've never heard it renamed a retirement nuke. I do like that. Hey, Justin, thanks for the donation tonight. Yeah, I did that in a video. You've seen me do things like that in my videos. I remember specifically one video where I pulled her out because she wasn't doing good and she did well and they replaced her. Absolutely. That's a good way to do it. Yeah. Brian Hill, good to see you. Thanks for being a member of our YouTube channel for 9 months, by the way. My only colony just had a dead out 1 week ago. The Department of Ag inspected it and noted that my cluster had split half. Were on under the outer cover with the queen. The other half was on the bottom deep. Is this common? It's not, Brian, I'm sorry to hear that. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It is common. It is not that unusual. Thank you, Mark. Good to see you here tonight for your donation. It's not that unusual. Remember, that's what drove me to create the Winter Be Kind board, because I'm putting candy on top of all 10 frames. Because if you just put a little bit of candy in the middle where they go through the inner cover or something like that, you risk them splitting into multiple clusters. And the reason they go into multiple cluster is because it's warm in the daytime and then boom, it gets cold really quickly. We're in danger of that right now, by the way, because you can have I think tomorrow's 80 degrees Fahrenheit here. And then all at once a cold chill comes in and they can't cluster as one group fast enough. They get separated in 2 clusters, may not make enough heat to make it. Yeah, that's not that uncommon. Hey, Robert, Florida. I placed some frames in the freezer with capped and uncapped honey. Am I good to put them in the hive? Our nectar flow should be starting soon. Yeah, I don't see why not. You froze them. That killed any kind of small hay beetle or wax moth larvae and all that. Yeah, you're good. Freezing just holds it there until you want to use it again. All right, let's do the spin to win. By the way, I want to share what's on here with you guys. How come? I need a bigger screen or something. Oh, there we go. So I've got some things added on here, by the way. And I'll let you know what those are. We've got bee philosophy. I'll tell a little bit about bee philosophy and how it relates to life. And then I have over here, you know you're a beekeeper if, and I have a whole list of fun things. A 30-minute Zoom meeting with me. If you win there, we'll draw somebody. This one is new. And my team, I told them about it before we went live, and I didn't give them a chance to respond and say no. So if it lands on personal, we'll spin, and one of you will get to ask any 4 of us a personal question. So we're all hoping that doesn't land there. Please don't land there. And then another 30-minute Zoom meeting. And down here, I'll teach on bee anatomy if it lands there. Spin again. If it lands on a bee joke, I'll talk about a bee joke. And then we have something called viewer spotlight. So it may land on a viewer. If it lands on viewer spotlight, Robbie will spin the thing, and if it lands on a viewer, we'll try to gain information from you, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Put you on the spot. Everybody gets put on the spot around here. You notice that? All right, are you ready? Here we go. It's always fun. I've had to do all kind of crazy things because of this wheel, like doing bee dances and all. Oh, again, Robbie, somebody has won. Somebody is going to win a 30-minute Zoom meeting with me tonight. Yeah, some coaching coming up. So this is a time when we're going to do hashtag something. Robbie, I'll tell us in just a minute. But yeah, if you win this, then you and I will set up a time when the 2 of us can sit down, spend a half hour, and I'll answer everything and try to coach you with whatever you're struggling with. So in the comments, leave the comment hashtag Zoom. Okay. You could win the 30-minute Zoom meeting. And if Paul's here and if he wins, we're going to skip you, Paul. It was fun. I love you. You were great, but we're not going to do it twice in a row. All right. So that's cool. I've done this twice now. I had somebody won it 1 week. It was Robert. Robert and I had a great talk. And then last week, Paul and I had a great talk. And yeah, it's a time. It's really not a Zoom meeting. It's just like we're doing here, only it's just 2 of us. So it's a lot of fun. It really is. By the way, while we're collecting these comments, while we're collecting these comments, let's do rapid fire question and answer. Can we do that? I'm going to answer these really fast, so we're not going to be getting into the details, not too deep into the weeds. Are you ready? Here we go. Would you make splits the day you receive mated queens or a few days later, the day I receive them? Absolutely. Where's the rapid fire? Oh. Is it true for a new beekeeper to start with 2 hives? Always better. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Think about that. When moving nukes, how do they know where their home is if they come out attacking and don't automatically do their orientation flight? Because they're coming out and attacking, and they're only doing that within 3 feet. When you're standing close by, they turn around, they see their hive, they go back in. David, what time of the year do you replace your queens? June the 21st through September the 21st. David, I was wondering about if you ever heard of ape tabs. I heard something about them being very good for mites. Have you ever heard that? You're talking about Appa tablets. I've heard of them. I've handled them. I'm going to try them this year. Mark, hi, David. I'm getting 2 packages this spring. Should I treat them for mites? And if so, when and what? Central Wisconsin. Yep. Do it early. Use whatever you can that time of the year. I'm not sure what your temperature is going to be. Mike, are bees active at night? They rest anytime they want to. They're on an 8-hour rest cycle like we are. They do activities in night at dark too. Yeah. If bees are flying out and in faster than I can count, they're finding something, or do they just keep going out in droves for fun? No, they don't do anything for fun. Bees are workers. They're going out to work. I just found out I'm queenless for a couple of weeks. Will my bees be okay to the middle of next week? Absolutely yes. If you can get a queen in, they're fine. Southern Illinois, clover and dandelions popping? You're kidding me. Fruit trees blooming? No. What happens when it freezes? Plus, set pollen powder out when weather permits. So, do you put a queen in a nuke box used for resources? Yeah, absolutely. I do. Planning Demaray split on a strong hive, 1 split. How much time does that buy me? Can I continue with that without moving 1 frame below queen excluder brood frames to the top? Ooh, I can't answer that on a rapid fire. Demaray is not a rapid thing. Sorry. Is it ever too soon to put pollen patties on? No, not really. I've overwintered with pollen patties. Is it ever too soon? We answered that one. Oh, it's a giveaway time? Okay, very good. I like it when people tell me what to do. I take orders. I'm somebody, I know how to take orders. I'm great at that. I have a team of 30 plus master beekeepers who administer the field tests. I'm the team leader. And I told them last year, even though I'm the team leader, all of us are leaders. To be a good leader, you have to be a good person that knows how to take orders. Who's going to win our Zoom meeting? All right, Robbie, let's find out. Oh, look at the names going by. Sherry, Josh, Brian, David, Justin, Jeremy, Leslie, Eric. Freedom Apiaries. That's not Pat that won last? No, that was Paul that won last week. Okay, Pat. Pat, if you'll email us within 24 hours, beaksquadwinner@gmail.com, let us know that you're the winner. And what we'll do is Sherry will help you and me set up a time that's good with your schedule and my schedule. And we will actually set up a great time and have 30 minutes of fun. Wow, Tom, thanks for your donation tonight. Northwest Minnesota Beekeepers Association, thanks for you and Sherry for your help. You're a great friend and mentor. Okay, so hold that up there for a second. Tom is a great supporter of the live stream here. He's invited me to speak to his club this Saturday night. All of you probably want in there. I don't think that's how it works, but who knows? But anyway, Northwest Minnesota Beekeepers Association. If any of you live around this area, Northwest Minnesota, I think I said Wisconsin. Sorry, Tom. If you live around Northwest Minnesota, Tom has started a great beekeeping club, and he's doing a fantastic job doing this, guys. And if you're in that area and you don't have a home for a beekeeping club, you got to talk to Tom. You got to find out. I think they have a website, Northwest Minnesota Beekeepers Association, but you need to talk to Tom, talk to him in the chat or something, get information. I want you to join his club, show up, that'd be a great time for you guys to learn. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Tom. Good to see you tonight. All right, let's see. Let's spin the wheel one more time. I want to put everybody on edge again. There we go. This is fun. You never know where it's going to land, do you? Oh no, it landed on personal. Oh my goodness. Oh, whoa. Oh, okay. Wow. So let's see. Sherry told me how to do this, and I have no clue anymore. So apparently, okay, we will have Robbie set up hashtag personal, and then it will pick somebody that wins the personal. And then what you will do, that person who wins will leave a comment in the comment section, and you will ask one of us a personal question. Did I do that right, Sherry? All right. Hashtag personal. You've got to, so you can ask me something personal, or Sherry or Jessica or Robbie. They're quickly putting their makeup on and combing their hair, straightening up their face. And don't ask me anything personal. You know everything about me. I make videos every day. What have I not said? You people know more about me than I know about myself. Sometimes people ask me questions and they'll tell me something about me that I've forgotten. So I don't even remember things that you know about me. I've been on YouTube too long. But anyway, ask me something, ask Jessica something, ask Sherry something, and you'll be asking them in the chat. Okay. So you'll use hashtag personal to ask a personal question about one of us. I reserve the right not to answer. Yeah. Don't ask me what I have done before I did beekeeping. I will not answer that question. So don't ask me that. You'll waste your question. All right. They're coming in. That's fun. This is going to be interesting to see how this goes. Yeah, it might be interesting. Personal questions. It's fun to ask personal questions. You know, when I talk to people, I always like to find out something personal about somebody. This makes me feel closer to them, right? That's what LiveStream's all about. We get to know each other a little better. All right, Robbie, let's see who's going to ask a personal question tonight. Who's going to win a chance to ask one of us a personal question? Ooh, okay. That's all sunshine go by. Oh, Rich Hargrove. Rich. All right, Rich. Okay, so Rich, you get to go into the chat now and ask one of us. You have to specify who you want to ask, but you have to ask one of us a personal question. Rich thinking, maybe Rich is going to ask one of us a personal question. I suppose one of the team members will put that in the chat as soon as it gets up there so that we can post it and make it all happen and find out something personal about one of us tonight. What could be personal? We waiting on Richard to ask a question? Come on, Richard, you got to ask one of us a personal question. Thank you, EL, for your donation. Solid advice. Appreciate that. Though thinking, yes, give me a minute. Okay, Rich is thinking of a good personal question to ask one of us. Oh, shoot. All right. It's tough. It's tough asking personal questions. Don't ask me how tall I am. I'm a very tall person. You saw me in the picture with Reggie, and I think Reggie was 6'12", 7 feet. I'm taller than Reggie in that picture. So it has to be personal, though. Yeah, it has to be personal. Yeah, okay. Cliff, you don't get to ask questions. You want me to go ahead and answer that? Okay. What's your most favorite things to teach about beekeeping? Cliff, literally, I love teaching critical thinking skills to beekeepers, how they can use critical thinking to solve beekeeping problems. I love that. I'm spending a lot of time on that. Love it, love it, love it. Thanks, Cliff. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to throw more questions while Rich is thinking, we may get off the hook. If we don't get a question by 8 o'clock, Rich, we're out of here. No personal questions on our behalf. Oh, shoot. When I add these is a queen to a hive, do I use a newspaper method or what? A question. When I add these is a, ooh, that's worded kind of rough. When you add a queen, you don't use newspapers. You just use the queen cage she comes in. Is that what you're thinking? And you just take the cork off of the queen cage, exposing the candy, release her that way. Okay. Oh, there's Richard. Oh, goodness. Oh, it's not me. Everybody, all of us are celebrating now. Okay. Let me bring Robbie on board. Hello, Robbie.
Hi, David. Hi, Mite Squad.
Yeah. Hey, Robbie, thanks for working tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
All right, there's your question. Robbie, you're behind the scenes but never chat. Why is that? Jessica, Sherry, all chat. Why don't you chat with Beak Squad?
Thanks, Rich, for the question. The truth is, I'm not a very good multitasker.
Oh, you are too.
Jessica and Sherry are very active in the chats. I'm behind the scenes in other areas of the software, and I don't keep the chats up on my screen. I only flip back and forth from time to time, and that's really why. And I try to every once in a while, but I don't get to very often. Thanks for the question, though.
Yeah, and Robbie, you do a great job. Robbie does all of our like media. He does the banners. He does the pictures. He does the giveaways, and there is a lot you have to multitask on because I watch what you do. So
I do stuff like that.
Yeah, you do. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Richard, for the question. Yeah, there you go. You guys got to meet Robbie. Robbie is from Indiana, by the way. All of you in Indiana, you got a Robbie in Indiana. All right. Well, let's take one final question, and that'll be it for us tonight. One last question. By the way, I'm going to be answering more of your questions that didn't get answered in a future video in the next day or 2 or 3 or 4. How long can honey stay on dead hive? It can stay there and capped over very long, actually, very long. As long as ants don't get it, other critters don't get it. If it's capped over, honey can remain honey for years upon years. But it may change based on what environment that it's in. All right, guys, I want to thank all of you so much. Let me go through my list, make sure I got everything done here. I think I did. Yes. Thank you for being here tonight. You guys were fantastic. Wow. I loved being here with all of you tonight. It's so good to see how great you guys are in the chat, helping each other out. And of course, we loved having Robbie, Jessica, and Sherry tonight. I'm so glad we could have a little teaching on bees and have some chat together. 59 minutes of really good fun on Thursday night, hanging out together. I'd like to say hello to all of you that have been watching, your families, your children. Hello, thanks for being here. And remember, I've made a lot of videos in the last couple of weeks. Be sure to watch my videos and learn more about bees. And really, I just love you guys to death. I just can't say enough about how much of a community we've developed here on the live stream. It's a beautiful time to be together every Thursday night. So thanks for coming. I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you in the next video. Good night.